What kind of, what kind of, what kind of, happy Friday, happy Black Friday, I don't know what that, whatever. I honor you for watching. If you are a good being, a decent soul, a decent person in this universe, I honor you. I honor you for watching. If you are new to my channel, please check out the description box as well as the links that I have to other platforms, as well as I got well over 2,000, I want to say 2,500 plus videos on this platform. And that's over the years, and it's a combination of stuff, okay? Some of them are no longer visible because some of them were from a different era of my life, but there's plenty of videos for you all to check out there if you want to get the gist of who I am, if you're new. If you are a returning, honorable, and sovereign, benevolent being that is a viewer or subscriber, I honor you. There are some energies that are going to their benefactors, some practitioners, some bounty hunters, practitioners that are, especially the practitioners, that are going to the benefactors, so the people that hired them, whether that is, whoever some of these elites are, some of these cult leaders, some of these corrupt criminal enterprise leaders, they're going to the benefactors and they're saying to them, well, so-and-so lied. They said that the collective wouldn't defend themselves. So-and-so lied. They said that the collective doesn't have any protection. So-and-so lied. They said that the collective was like slow, like they were stupid. Like essentially they were saying that they were told that the collective was basically kind of like an airhead, or not even just an airhead, like slow. Okay, and trigger warning, for you all to know, I have a son that is differently able, so I'm not somebody that, disrespects that population, okay? I just so you all know, just so you know. So when I'm saying it in this context, I'm not like clowning. It's just like what these people said to their benefactors. Like we were told, like basically that they're, if not that if they were retarded, but just like they're slow. Like they're just like not all there. That's what we were told. We were told that they didn't have any protection. We were told that they wouldn't protect themselves. We were told that they are not all there. So this would go all over their head. This would be cinchy. This would be like an easy deal, that this person would not retaliate, that this person was green around the gills. I mean, because some of them were told even that. Okay, so that they're they're young, they're green around the gills. They can't do nothing. Ain't nothing gonna happen. Ain't nothing gonna happen. They green around the gills because they haven't had the opportunity. We made sure that they didn't have the opportunity to develop or know who they are or to tap in. So at this point, they're kind of green around the gills. So this is going to be a cinchy project. That's what they were told. They were told that possibly by the collective's family. They were told that possibly by the, the honeypots and the lovers that the collective has had. But these practitioners are upset because some of the benefactors are upset. And so I think they're having these different conversations about things because they're starting to get some stuff as well as the benefactors. Okay? Maybe not all of it, but they're starting to get, some stuff. And then in some cases, it could just be because they see that you, collective, will defend yourself, that you will fight back, and that you are protected, and that even if you are green around the gills, you have a team that isn't. Huh? Now, because see, here's the thing. If it was unjust, you see what I'm saying? If the reason why you're green around the gills, in other words, like because you haven't had the time to really tap into all those things because of the players that was manipulating your life, then you may very well have your oversoul in the team that there's a compensation for that. It's like, very well, then you cocky nut, good, because this is what's going to work against you. Good, because you're cocky. You're cocky. But the title says, what kind of... Now, here's what I want to say about it. When I got that message, that's the conversation that is being held with these practitioners and these benefactors, this is some of the things that they're discussing because of some of the things that is happening. I chuckled again. I chuckled. And that's what I said. The title says, what kind of... That's the first thing that came out of my mouth. Because some of these practitioners just kept really leaning in, whoever they were talking to, they were leaning in on, like they were given the impression, like the only reason why, essentially, like the only reason why they got into it, the only reason why they agreed in the first place is because they were given the impression that the collective was slow. And I'm not talking about slow like in physical movement. I'm saying, how we talk about, the short yellow bus, like that the collective was slow. And that they were, didn't have any protection, and that they would not defend themselves. And so basically they're, admitting and saying, hey, I took this because that's the kind of the profile folder we were given. I took it because they brother said they ain't gonna defend themselves, that they slow. Their mother, their father, their cousin, their auntie, their uncle, their ex, their niece, their nephew, said they slow. And when I said what kind of, again, my oversoul, my team really had to help me out because this was yesterday. This is last night. This is late last night. I was like, what kind of, what? And collective, it's revealing, isn't it? And by the way, these are some of the very folks that they have platforms. Apparently, they have social media, they have platforms, they have businesses. There's these obviously with the practitioners. So chances are they have a business somewhere, whether that be online or a physical actual business. Doesn't matter. That they have a business. And these are people, now since I'm giving you the conversation that they're having with benefactors, these are people who have a public persona as being good folks. This conversation has to be had. It has to. Because they have a public persona of being good and helpful people, as being, some of them are even claiming to be healers. Now you answer me this question: what kind of healer would utter those words that I just uttered? What kind of healer would be given information, I have to go here, would be given information about a potential person that they're going to do work on, and the information that they're given is that that person is actually, like slow. What kind of a healer? And I'm rephrasing what I'm saying because you can be a practitioner, but it don't mean, healer. What kind of guru, in this context, follow me, okay? Because there's a place for baneful work. But I'm saying, in the context of what I just said, and they're told that basically this person is slow and not all there. Who would take such a job and go to town with all kinds of hideous, nefarious, very dark practices and send in entities, dangerous energy to someone that they actually believe is slow? What kind of person, what kind of being? That's all I'm going to say. See, I'm going to shit all over everything that they say. I'm going to shit all over it. And this is because if, they saying one thing, okay, so then if you really think this person is slow and mentally challenged, then why the fuck are, first and foremost, you're implying that you believe that they're weak, you believe that they're powerless, and you believe that they can't protect themselves and cover themselves. And so if you believe that this is what they are, why would you do such a thing as a decent being? And what threat are they to you? What threat are they to you? And anything about who you are, what you do, what you've got, if they're all those things. And why would you do such a thing? Healer, empath, preacher, teacher, evangelist, mason, intercessor, whatever they want to call themselves. Why would you do such a thing? Woke one, his perfect chosen, his princess bride. Why would they do such a thing? The one. Why would they do such a thing? His Holiness. Why would they do such a thing? Why would they take such an account, such a project to send dangerous entities? Why would they do such a thing? To afflict such beings? So, like I said, I'm going to shit over all their shit. I'm going to shit over everything that they say. And I'm going to poke holes all over it. Because then if that's true, then why are you spending hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on somebody that you feel is not all there? Do we need to spend thousands of dollars on somebody that's mentally challenged? That's what you need to do for somebody that's mentally challenged, and which would be then they're no threat to you. Somebody who doesn't have any protection and can't protect themselves, why do you need to spend thousands of dollars on baneful work? Why do you need to concentrate witches all around the people, all around the target, to do concentrated baneful work if they are mentally challenged? Like seriously, mentally delayed. I'm not talking about in the funny way. If they're what these people were told, if they're mentally delayed, if they're weak, if they're powerless, if they're green around the gills, if they don't know nothing, okay, so then why do you need to spend $1,000 worth of sweat? Why do you need to get rid of a person that, if in those conditions, are they a threat? Why do they need to be moved out of the way if they're that? Are they a threat? Are they? Oh, I'm going to make people think about this if they don't want to think about it. Because if that's true, then in such case, those individuals aren't a threat. Correct? They are weak. They don't know nothing. They're green around the gills. They're, powerless. They won't defend themselves. So with all of the premise of that statement, then why do you need a surveillancer? Why do you need that? Why do they need it? Why do they need it? Oh, because why are they a threat? I'm a poke holes. I'm going to poke holes. Why do they need hundreds of people following them around? Why do they need it? Why do they need to employ every tenant and resident around the collective? Why do they need it? If that's the case. Why do I need to get rid of them? Somebody's going to say to get rid of them. I get that. But let's go back to, why do they need to get rid of them? Because why are they a threat? I'm trying to get the world to connect the dots of what I'm saying. I understand it's okay, well, because they need to get rid of them. They need to move them out the way. They need whatever this is that they're trying to attain. Like, let's say, okay, well, they want to get power of attorney over the collective or the collective's children, or they want to get, like, whatever kind of monies and resources, whatever this is that they're trying to steal, because this is what this is. Let's just call it for what it is and stop prettifying it. Call it for what it is. Let's stop trying to make this something deep and spiritual and important. Let's just call it greedy nuts. Okay? Entitled, greedy, psycho nuts. Okay? So I get it. But based on what I'm saying, then there's something that should not require all of this stuff because the person is not all there. That's the whole point I'm making.
Discover a stunning selection of faux flowers in Hobby Lobby's floral department. Whether your specialty is bouquets, fairy gardens...
The person's not all there. The person is weak. The person can't defend themselves. The person. So then you don't need to do nothing, but just basically sit back and just wait until, if that's the case. And then, then they'll be just gullible. You can come in and do, because, they're not all there. They're slow. Remember? So why do you gotta lie and do some high level narcodocious gaslighting, flippy word sorcery, cartwheels, smoke cigarettes? Why you gotta do? Why they? If that's the case. This should be cinching. Very cinching. That means anybody can come to them and they'll be gullible and basically take anything from anybody. They'll just basically do what they're told. They'll just, trust anybody with a smile on their face. They, if that's the case. You wouldn't have to strategize and synchronize movement because, the person they ain't there anyway. Because they're not too sharp. See, either way I spin it, collective, I'm going to poke holes on all ends. On that side of it, as well as on the more decent side, to where it's like, okay, for people who call on themselves, for the ones, because maybe not all of them are, but for the ones who are out here trying to appear like decent people and even going around basically mimicking collective and other people, out here trying to act like there's some kind of woke being, or out here acting like, you see what I'm saying, they're here to contribute something beautiful to the collective consciousness, and bitch, they're here, to heal and help people heal. What kind of healing hoe would take such a job, bitch? I'm a poke holes all over this shit. What kind of so-called, I'm a sensitive empath. What kind of healing soul or being would take on such a job in the manner in which I just expressed, hired to do some very serious, continual, baneful work to cause harm to someone that they are told is not all there in the mind, that's mentally challenged and don't have any protection and won't protect themselves? I'm gonna say it again. What kind of honorable, benevolent healer, bitch, or healer dude I'm gonna make them hate the day that any of them took the deal to fuck with me? I'm gonna make them hate the day they decided to sacrifice my son. I'm gonna make them hate the very moment they decided it, even before it was executed. gonna make them all hate the day they decided to try to entrap me. I'm gonna make them all hate that. To try to ambush me. To try to set me up. I'm gonna make them all hate the day they did it. And you know how? Because of stuff like this. My intelligence. That's why I'm gonna make them hate it. And it's gonna change everything. It's gonna be the domino effect, the initiator of that pow for the world. For the world. Not just me, not just my son, not just for the world. Because it's gonna poke holes in all the shit. We're gonna have some fun. Because social media creates, you see, someone had said, I want to say it was Dr. Ramani, which is a narcissist specialist, you know, if you will. Or it could have been someone else that I've been listening to and learning from over the years, okay? And she mentioned, amongst others, about how social media can be beautiful, but she mentioned also how social media is a part of really what escalated narcs. Because the whole idea is narcs don't really have a personality of their own. And the thing about social media, it's a very easy way to bully people. It's a new age way of bullying. It's a very easy way to put out a fake persona and get a dopamine hit out of all, you know, the likes, follows, shares, subscribes, you know. It's a way to get that because people only are getting like glimpses and reels of the person. They're not getting the whole, so they're seeing the narc's shadow. They're seeing their mask for an hour on a social media platform, you know, bits and pieces here and there. They don't, you know, see the other stuff. So it's making it, she was saying that it makes it extremely easy for them to basically immerse themselves in other people's personalities. Yeah, you heard it. You heard it. That it has made it easy for people just to sit back and essentially copy and paste a life. Copy and paste a persona and a personality. Hire a team to do it. Sit back, like that is what their expertise and specialty is. Studying the mannerisms, the trendings. Look, because they have pattern recognition too. It's just theirs gets kind of danked and distorted a bit, but you know, oh, okay, so you know they like when that they like, okay, I could take that and then I could make it something else and then I'll ruin them, so I could become them. But these people don't actually be anything to do with what they're performing. And I'm not talking about imperfections and variants like we all have. We're multifaceted. We have our weaknesses and flaws. That's not what we're speaking of. Natural weaknesses and flaws, variances. No, like literally, that ain't even them. Like, that ain't them. Like, they just did that because they like that, how it makes them look, and they like, you know, coming off as that kind. They want people, you know what I'm saying, to see them. They know that's not what the fuck they are. Some of them anyway, because again, Dr. Ramani says that like it's delusion. Like this is why a lot of them could past lie detectors and stuff, because like it's like created, it's trippy. Like they didn't fucked up and created a whole alternate. So they convinced, they lie so long, they create that they can't. Y'all gotta study narcissism. That's all I'm saying, man. You gotta look into it from a serious intellectual perspective, from an open. You gotta look into it. And this is, I'm not saying this so that we get to, because for the intensive purposes of us in this realm, if you don't have the credentials to diagnose, well, we're not trying to diagnose, but I just have to say that for the record, this is for you. Okay. So it's like, so you see how it's like the double life. I'm not talking about how like you have a bad day or you're going through attacks and you got to clear your energy and you're not on your A game. No. I'm talking about they ain't nothing to do with what they talking about. They go on camera. They do these, videos, and they sell these products. But as soon as they're done with that, they're up there doing some baneful work, possibly on their very customers, to keep them customers. That's another video all in itself, bitch. That's another video all in itself. Because it's like, what kind of shit is that? Okay? Like I said, they go on there, they talk with hushed tones, they lean into the aesthetics and the illusions of what looks like being a sensitive or being an empath or being a healer, what looks and sounds like that. And they attempt to mimic and take all of that on. And they go on camera and they create their videos, and if they're attractive, they really lean into that because they know people stoop. Okay. They know that a lot of people are. And so they'll use that to kind of pull in. Okay. And they'll put on that what they rehearsed. Basically, what they have been sitting for hours and days at a time rehearsing. And then once they're finished and they got y'all to send them coins and flowers and nickels, and they got you to subscribe, share, follow. They got you to fluff up their head and you're so wonderful. They got you to do all of that. They got all of their high, all of their supply, and in some case cash. Soon as they're done with that, they're off doing some satanic ritual abuse, ceremonial abuse on a disabled man that's been disabled since birth. They're trying to sacrifice them to an entity so that they can heal themselves. They're trying to sacrifice them to an entity so that they can get some creativity and have wealth. They're trying to sacrifice them after they were on the screen talking about namaste and they're saying all of these catchphrases. Keep your head up. I'm rooting for you. You the best. I love you. You the bomb. We got this. Keep moving forward. This too will pass. No weapon for against you should prosper. Yeah. After they finish all that with y'all, then they're doing some sicko sex ritual, draining life force off of the disabled population. So that they can get the yacht. so that they can heal their disease and sickness, so that they can preserve their useless life longer. And then they come back on camera smiling at you, talking about, you know, bless God. You know, I have to go back and forth because if the spiritual, religious, but whichever one they're leaning to, they're gonna, you know, they're gonna come back and like, bless the Lord, praise God. You know, I tell you, Lord, God's good all the time. God's good. You know, the word of the Lord songs. You know, and I'm only saying this. Listen to me. I'm only referencing this in this way as it pertains to these sickos. Okay, how they come on with y'all like that, but then when they're off, they're doing all sorts of insidious shit to people intentionally, you know. And in most cases, even as I speak in real time, they're doing that. These are people some of you all are dumb enough to be praising and holding in high honor on the property in which where my son lives, Delta Manor. Whether they work here, live here, visit here, and frequent here. In real time, projecting. And for y'all, you hold them honor, you think them, that's sister intercessor, that's sister demon possessed. You think that's sister prayer warrior, that's sister full of shit. Y'all think that sister anointed, that sister demon possessed. That sister hypocrite. Brother hypocrite, brother demon possessed. You know, don't trip, don't get caught up on the language. Okay. So anywho, I'm gonna end this one here. This one's not gonna be a long one. Well, it's long enough. I'm gonna end this video. So y'all play with this. Okay? What kind of, start asking the serious questions. Start poking holes. Start, you know, processing things and breaking them down, okay? Because all this persona shit, yet, you know what I'm saying, behind the scene in the dark, doing all this other shit is what is more common than you all are wanting to face and admit out loud. And in this case, it's a dangerous level because at the end of the day, sure, a lot of people are fraud in social media, but we're really talking about how this has seriously and negatively impacted lives physically. This ain't about, oh, somebody just created an illusion like they were rich and they were not rich. Okay, y'all gotta follow where I'm going. Because again, it's social media and everybody has got something going on. Okay, they act like they were rich and living a lavish life and they're really not. Okay, yeah, but that's not really hurting anybody. It may be annoying, but that's not hurting anybody. That's their choice. Okay, but these people are pretending to be, you know, people who care for folks. They're pretending to be, you know, these philanthropists, these healers, these folks that serve vulnerable populations. you know, and care and all that shit. And they don't. They actually pander and are predators to those populations. That's why this needs to be said, because they're hurting lives intentionally with their misleading. Misleading so that they can harm, and so that they can get in and convince people, and so that they can just get the narcissistic supply, because these people want to feel like they're good people. And they convince themselves that they are, because they come on social media and create a very, very warming post. And they convince themselves that that means they're embodying what they're pretending to be. They forget to look at their behavior after they come off of the video. They forget to look at that. They forget to look at how, when they're trolling social media and the energy they're exuding to the people that they're stalking, they forget to look at that part. They thought you were slow, collective. And that's why a lot of these people took the jobs. And that should be a telling for you enough. It's like in the movie Abigail. I want to say the movie Abigail they made maybe a year or two ago, like the newer version, where this little girl was a nut. Okay, no doubt. She was crazy. Okay, she was demon possessed. Okay. But the point though is her character, her shadow character, did make a chilling point. Her captors, her kidnappers, because they kidnapped her. Her captors, it was 5 adults. She was this little tiny 10-year-old or 12-year-old girl all by herself. And there was 5 adults that were trained assassins. And they kidnapped this little girl and held her for ransom. And when things got real, you know, and she, you know, knew that they could see who she was, and so she just talked to them straight. And she told these people, as they thought they had her jailed, because she eventually breaks out, but she told them, because they were like, we're sorry, we didn't know that you are who you are, we didn't know, we just thought that you were blah, blah, blah. And she said, so let me understand this correctly. When you thought I was a weakless and helpless 12-year-old little girl all along, you thought it was okay to kidnap me, to terrorize me, and to abuse me. And that is what these people are to me, collective. So when they thought that you were weak and helpless, and that you wouldn't defend yourself and protect yourself, and that you were slow, they actually thought it was good and decent and a good idea to ambush you and kidnap you and do all those things. It's a reveal of their character. It's a reveal. Because they thought that they were appeasing to her by saying, oh, we sorry, we didn't know. And she thought that was insulting. Like, you're more disgusting. Because the only reason why you're apologizing is because I'm beating your ass. I am beating your ass, and I'm going to kill the rest of you in a few minutes after I have this discussion. And after, when I decide I want to break out of this here jail. And when I do, I'm killing you. Right now, I'm going to appease you. And the only reason why you're apologizing is, as I said, because you're starting to get that ass. So you ain't decent. You ain't a good being. You're not a good person. You're not even sorry. You're sorry because you're discovering that I can't kill you. I can kill you. I can whoop your ass. You ain't sorry. Had I just leaned into my victimhood, that's what that little girl was saying. In that movie, had I leaned into my victimhood role and stayed in that little girl role and allowed you all to continue, you would have fulfilled your mission and got your little ransom money. You would not have had any sudden revelation of nothing. You would have went full throttle with it with glee. And then still went on social media talking about you're a guru.